What is going on, guys? Rogue TCG here, bringing the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG deck profile. You all voted for it last week, and I am very happy to be bringing it to you this week. Here is Galaxy Eyes. Now, Galaxy Eyes isn't just Galaxy Eyes. It is actually three different archetypes. I want to say three, because there is the Photons, there are the Galaxies, and then there are the Galaxy Eyes. So there are three different archetypes in this one archetype, so it is a little bit jumbled and all over the place, but all the cards, at least that are in this list right now, synergize pretty well together. So I wanted to bring this strategy to you today. This is a strategy that is a little bit budget, as you see with the deck list. It isn't necessarily the most budget, at least the deck that I am bringing to you today. It is primarily because of this card right here, Dominus Impulse, which is about $30 a copy, which is bumping up the price total by about $90. So if you didn't want to play Dominus Impulse, Effect Veiler would suffice. So just letting y'all know. But that's enough yapping about the overall deck profile. Let's go into the card by card. First off, we're on triple copies of Photon Delta Wing. When it's normal summon, we can special summon a Photon Delta Wing from our hand or deck in defense. And then we're locked for the rest of the turn, except for light monsters. And it's kind of like a Solar Flare Dragon, where Photon Delta Wing says your opponent cannot declare an attack while you control another Photon Delta Wing. So if we get something like Fool Rust, we can summon Photon Delta Wing, give them one draw off of the Photon Delta Wing from our deck, and then if we feel like we're in a confident enough position with our non-engine cards, with our hand traps, we might be able to just pass and see what our opponent's able to do off the one card that we've given them. It is a potential thing we can do. I'm not sure if that's necessarily the correct play, especially since, these sort of things will vary from game state to game state, so you need to make your own educated decision when you are piloting this deck. Next up, we are on triple copies of Photon Jumper. When an opponent's monster clears an attack, you can activate this effect. Skip your next battle phase, an important part of this card. Also, special summon this card from your hand, then end this battle phase. This card was very well posed into Tenpai of last format. Tenpai might still be floating around, so this card may still be good in that sort of context, but otherwise, its second effect is more why we're playing it. And it reads, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one Photon or Galaxy spell or trap from your deck to your hand, and that second effect is a once per turn. So being able to add a Photon or Galaxy spell or trap when this card is pitched to the graveyard by any sort of means is fantastic, because those Photon and Galaxy spells will allow us to access more of our Photon and Galaxy monsters from our deck. So we are playing 3 Jumper just to ensure we're always going to be able to access that graveyard effect. We're on 2 copies of Photon Emperor. This is a level 8 Light Warrior. If it's sent to the graveyard from the field while another Photon or Galaxy monster is on your field or in your graveyard, you can special summon this card in defense position. So, sorry, my apologies. It says except from field, not only from field. So anything that you're sending this, it's kind of like Photon Jumper, except it's a little bit more restrictive. Or if you're sending this from deck to graveyard or hand to graveyard, this card is going to trigger there, not if it's being linked off as link material. So do keep that in mind. And we are able to just special summon it in defense position, and that is a once per turn. After we normal or special summon this card, we can normal summon 1 light monster during our main phase this turn in addition to our normal summon and set, which allows us to normal summon other cards that we would like to be normal summoning outside of Photon Delta Wing, such as Galaxy Wizard or Galaxy Summoner. So really great that this card will give us that availability to do that. We are on 2 copies of Photon Orbital. There is argument to cut this down to 1 because it is so searchable, and this card is a searcher in of itself. It reads, during your main phase, we can target a Photon or Galaxy monster we control. Equip this monster from your hand or field to that target. Almost always going to be from hand. We're never going to want to bring this to the board and then equipping it that way. It gains 500 attack and also cannot be destroyed by battle. We can send this equipped card to the graveyard to add a Photon or Galaxy monster from our deck to our hand, except for Photon Orbital, and that is a once per turn on that second effect. That is a very powerful effect. Again, we are just going to be equipping it from hand and then basically treating it like a reinforcement of the army, where we're going to be equipping it and then sending it to the graveyard in order to be adding a Photon or Galaxy monster. But do keep in mind, because it equips as an equipped spell, it can get Ghost Ogred or removed via spell and trap destruction. So do keep that in mind, because that will make it resolve without effect. We are on one copy of our last Photon, being Photon Vanisher. It cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from our hand while we control a Photon or a Galaxy monster. Cannot attack the tournament, it is special summoned. We can only special summon Vanisher once per turn. If this card is special summoned, we can add a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from our deck to our hand. And an XC summon monster that was summoned using this card on field as material gains this effect. Banish any monster destroyed by battle with this card. Now, that second effect, the destruction by battle effect, is not especially the most relevant because it is a 4, so most of the time this is going to be underneath a rank 4, although we do have the availability to put it underneath a rank 8. However, we're mostly using this as a free extender body from our hand that also searches our main, I want to say boss monster, but our main card in our deck being Gept Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. I am going to be referring to this card as Gept, G-E-P-D, for the rest of this deck profile, just because Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon is a mouthful. Next up, we are on triple copies of Galaxy Soldier. We can send one other light monster from our hand to the graveyard to special summon this card from our hand in defense position. That effect is not a once per turn. When this card is special summoned, you can add one Galaxy monster from our deck to our hand, and that effect is a once per turn. So being able to summon this card multiple times is really great, and especially this is one of our main discard outlets in Archetype in order to get cards like Jumper and Emperor into our graveyard in order to be able to trigger the search effect of Jumper and the special summon effect of Emperor. Galaxy Soldier is also a level 5 light machine, so it does allow us to access Cyber Dragon Nova and Cyber Dragon Infinity if we are going first, so we can set up a negation. Now let us go into our other galaxies. One copy of Galaxy Summoner. It is a level 4. This is also a contentious card in the build. If you wanted to cut this, I believe this is a fine cut, but it does increase the potential skill ceiling of our combo and what we're able to accomplish, so do keep that in mind. This card reads, if there's normal or special summon, we can target a Photon or a Galaxy monster in our graveyard, except for Summoner. Special summon in defense position. And then it also has the ignition effect where you can target one other light monster we control. Its level becomes 4 until the end of the turn, allowing us to make easy rank 4s, which we are playing 2 of in the archetype, one of which we really have to be making on our turn 1 for setup reasons. So Galaxy Summoner is fantastic, and the main card we want to be special summoning from our graveyard is going to be our next card, being Galaxy Wizard. This card is a level 4 light spellcaster. We are only playing one copy of this card because, again, it is very searchable and we can bring it back from the graveyard with our summoner after we use it the first time. And the reason it's going to be in the graveyard is because this card reads, once per turn we can increase this card's level by 4 until the end of the turn. We're not really going to be doing that all too frequently, but we can also tribute this card on ignition to add a Galaxy card from our deck to our hand, except for Galaxy Wizard. Now, this is one of our most flexible adding tools, where this is going to be able to add any card from deck to hand, basically allowing us to grab monsters, spells, or even if we were going to be playing trap cards, we would be able to add trap cards that way. Not the trap card I was hovering, that's not even like something that we can add with that, so not that one, but if we were to be playing other Galaxy traps, we would be able to add those. Of course, we're on triple copies of Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon Gept, as well as 2 copies of Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon. Afterglow reads, if you control a Galaxy Eyes monster, we can special summon this card from our hand in defense. If this card is attached from an Xyz monster to activate that monster's effect, we can take one Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon from our hand or deck and either special summon it or attach it to the Xyz monster as material. We do have to be doing that, so that is one of the reasons we are playing 3 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragons, or Gept, in order to make sure we can do the Afterglow almost all the time. And then, if you activate this effect during the battle phase, double the attack of all number Xyz monsters you control, and you'll use each effect of Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon once per turn. This card allows us to do a really crazy OTK, specifically with Galaxy Eyes Prime Dragon, so we are able to really pump the numbers up on that monster. But we do not want to be seeing this card all too frequently because we can only special summon it once per turn, and since it is a level 5 or higher Galaxy Eyes monster, it is very easy to get this card into rotation, so we don't really need to be playing any more than 2. Now on to our spells and traps. We're on triple copies of Galaxy 100 as a continuous spell. When it's activated, we can send a Photon or a Galaxy card from our deck to the graveyard. If Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon is special summoned to our field, except during the damage step, we can look at our opponent's extra deck, then apply one of these effects. We can basically cast Tier a Unicorn them, banishing a monster from their extra deck, or we can special summon a number monster that we find in their extra deck to our side of the field. We can lose each effect of Galaxy 100 once per turn, and we can only activate 1 Galaxy 100 per turn. Fantastic card. On summon, it basically on activation rather, it basically replaces itself because we can always send Jumper in order to add a different photon or galaxy spell or trap, or if we have our setup already enabled, we already have a photon or a galaxy monster on our side of the field or in our graveyard, we can send a copy of Photon Emperor. We can also send cards that we want to be able to gain access to from the graveyard, such as Galaxy Wizard if we want to be reborning it with our Galaxy Summoner, or cards like Galaxy Eyes Afterglow or Gept, of course. Next up, we're on 2 copies of Galaxy Expedition. If we control a level 5 or higher Photon or Galaxy monster, special summon 1 level 5 or higher Photon or Galaxy monster from our deck in defense position, and that is a hard once per turn. So this is just a really beefed up e-telly for this strategy. It does have to have us having a monster on our side of the field that meets a certain requirement. However, that is something that our deck is looking to be doing very frequently in every single turn of the game, pretty much. So if we're not doing that, we're not really winning anyway. So this card is quite good because it's going to take a situation that we're already putting ourselves in and putting us very far ahead in that situation. So we're on 2 copies of Expedition, and then our next card is 1 copy of Galaxy Trance, and this is going to be our last Galaxy spell. This card reads, pay 2,000 life points, target a Photon monster in your graveyard, special summon both it and 1 Galaxy monster from our deck with the same level, both in defense position, and if you do, each monster's attack becomes 2,000, also their effects are negated, and you can only activate 1 Galaxy Trance per turn. You cannot normal or special summon monsters during the turn you activate this card, except for Photon and Galaxy monsters. So very xenophobic on the last effect of that card, where we can't even activate it if we've summoned anything other than Photon or Galaxies previously in the turn. However, we are only playing 2 cards in our action deck that are not Photons or Galaxies, so no need to really be too concerned about that. But this card is quite fantastic. Again, this card's incredibly searchable. Jumper, Wizard, these cards can search it, so we're not too concerned about having to find this one-of spell card. But this card is very fantastic because we can target a card like Gept in our graveyard, special summon both it and a Galaxy Eyes Afterglow from our deck, and then we're ready set up for the OTK all off of 1 card. So, fantastic card. We are playing the one-of just because it's searchable. Lastly, for our Galaxy and Photon cards, we're on 2 copies of Photon Sanctuary. There is argument to be playing 3 copies, but I did want to fit more non-engine in this list, so I did opt to cut 1. This is a normal spell. It reads, special summon 2 Photon tokens, Thunder Light level 4, attack 2000, defense 0 in defense position. These tokens cannot attack or be used for a synchro material. And you cannot special summon other monsters the turn you activate this card except for light monsters. So this is the second card that will lock us into light monsters. So these are the 2 in the deck that do lock us, so do keep that in mind. That is why pretty much everything except for 1 card in this list is going to be light based. So this card is fantastic. It allows us to make our Galaxy Eyes Soulflare Dragon off of 1 spell card, but there's another really cool card that we're able to make with this card, being Bujinki Ahashima, which allows us to make our Xyz plays using cards from our hand in our graveyard by just summoning them from our hand in our graveyard, immediately making Xyz, and then it will give us beneficial rewards for making Xyz to where it points to, allowing us to pop our opponent's back row, which is just fantastic. The one thing is we can't use this card if we used Galaxy Trance previously in the turn, so that's just something we're going to have to, make up our mind about when we look at our opening hand. Now for our non-engine, we're on 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet. This card has really good synergy with our Photon Jumper and our Photon Emperor, which is the main reason why we are considering it. We also want to ideally be going second with this deck in order to just kill our opponents into the sun, although this deck definitely can go first, so Forbidden Droplet is the card that I chose in order to both act as like an interruption against our opponent as well as a board breaker when we're going second. And for our hand traps, we're pretty much all playing light hand traps. We're on triple copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, triple copies of Beard the Primal Being, and triple copies of Dominus Purge. And this is the Dominus that locks us out of Dark, Water, and Fire monster effects for the rest of the duel. So we only have 1 Dark monster in our entire deck, so that's a decision we can make when we activate our Dominus Purge, that we're just not going to be able to summon our Dark monster, which is completely fine. But that's it for our main deck. Now let me cover the extra. I don't mean to interrupt the video, but I do just want to give you all guys a heads up. We are quickly rising in our subscriber number, and I did want to make you all aware that once we hit 2,000 subscribers, I am going to be doing another giveaway. Now, I remember I did one once we hit 500 subscribers, and we did a special thing for 1,000, so I want to do something special for 2,000. And you see this beautiful mat right here? Well, it can be yours. I have 2 extra mats. There's one of them, And let me get that second one for you all. I have 2 extra pristine mats for you all. So I got multiple of these. And to 2 lucky winners, I'm going to be giving one to one person and one to another. And the person who wins the overall giveaway is also going to get a full Orcust deck. I can't guarantee it's going to be max rarity, but I'm going to see what I can do. And I'm going to try and make it look nice and pretty for you. It's not going to be the full deck. It's just going to be the core Orcust cards. But I want to be able to give you one of you all the ability to play one of my favorite decks. So just something I'm doing for you. You can always pop into our Discord. I believe that's where I'm going to be doing the giveaway. The Discord's always going to be in the description of my videos. I'm going to have a little bit more details once we start rolling up on that, but I just wanted to make you all aware of that. Now, back to the video. In the extra, there's the Buhichiki Ahashima that I mentioned previously. 1 copy of Galaxy Eyes Soulflare Dragon, which on Link Summon allows us to target a Photon or Galaxy monster in our graveyard and add it to our hand. During our opponent's main phase quick effect, we can discard a Photon or Galaxy card, or discard a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon specifically, then target a special summon monster your opponent controls and destroy it. Oh, my apologies. We have to discard a Photon and a Galaxy card, or a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. My apologies. I actually just misread the card in real time. So that's my bad. But so you're either going -2 in order to pop 1 card or going -1 to pop 1 card, which is another reason why we are playing 3 Gept. In our Xyz department, we are on 1 copy of Galaxy Photon Dragon. This needs 2 level 4s. Other light monsters we control gain 500 attack. We lose each of the following effects of Photon Dragon once per turn. We can attach a material from this card to add a Photon or a Galaxy card from our deck to our hand, or send it to the graveyard. If a light monster is special summoned to our field, except during the damage step, we can target one of those monsters. Its level becomes 4 or 8 until the end of this turn. This is a fantastic card for the strategy, basically allowing our Photon Delta Wing to become a 1-card combo, because it will summon another copy of itself, which is level 4, of course, and then we can immediately go into our Galaxy Photon Dragon in order to either dump a card or to add a card in order to keep making our combos go. We are also able to level modulate as we see fit in order to make our situation adaptable to what our opponent is doing, which is very fantastic. We're on 1 copy of Starleech Photon Blast Dragon. This card's same meta play, not in this deck, but in Ryzeal, because this card just gives us targeting protection for our large monsters, which is just really great. We're of course on the Cyber Dragon Nova and the Cyber Dragon Infinity. Cyber Dragon Infinity being an Omni Negate that also destroys, and it's also kind of like a relinquished anima while it's face up on field for attack position monsters, which is just really good altogether. It's just a fantastic card that is aged like wine. It's really great. Like, this card, even now, 8 years past its release date, this card is still quite strong. And then for our Galaxy cards, we're on 1 Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon, 1 Full Armor Photon Dragon, 1 Tachyon Dragon. This one is a personal pick of mine. I like this card. I have an ultimate rare in real life. This is why it's in the deck. This can basically be any other rank 8 or Galaxy Eyes monster. You can consider this a free slot, to be completely honest. Like, if you have a card you would rather prefer being here, put it in here instead of Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. It's not exactly the best, to be completely honest. We're on 1 Kage Neo Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon, allowing us to attack multiple times and is unaffected by your opponent's monster effects if it has Gept underneath of it as material, which is really great for just a big bungus that hits really goddamn hard. 1 copy of Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon, allowing us to basically steal our opponent's monster and treating it as another copy of itself. 1 copy of Galaxy Eyes Cypher X Dragon, allowing us to just Slapatron this on top of a Cypher Dragon monster we control, basically allowing us to steal our opponent's monster and then steal it permanently by just slapping the Cypher X on top of it and turning it into one of our monsters. 1 copy of Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. This is attack redirection as well as a spell or trap negation. 1 copy of Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord, a lot stronger in this strategy than it is in just pure Horus. This card reads, if it has a Photon card as material, it cannot be destroyed by card effects, giving it self-protection. Notice each of the following effects of Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord once per turn. When an opponent's monster activates effect, quick effect, we can attach a material from this card, negate that monster's effect, and if the attached material was a Galaxy card, destroy that card. So now typically this card is going to be made with 2 Horus monsters as seen in other strategies, where it's just going to be a monster negation that doesn't destroy the card, but this is an indestructible monster negation that will destroy the card that it's negating. which is a lot better than it was previously. And then our last card is again one of my personal favorites, one copy of Dingirsu, the Orchestra of the Evening Star, in order to get rid of hard to remove threats by non-destruction, non-removal, removal. When summoned, it allows you to send a card from the field to the graveyard, and while it's on field, we can detach materials from it instead of cards being destroyed, which is fantastic. And then lastly, before I end off this deck profile, I did want to just cover some cards in the side deck. There's of course Tachyon Transmigration, which is one of the best counter trap cards ever printed, in theory, where it'll negate everything previously activated in the chain, and then shuffle the negated cards into the deck, which is really, it's really something. Like, they really put words on this card. Like, it's pretty crazy. One copy of Galaxy Cyclone. Like, Galaxy Cyclone is a Galaxy card, so it is a searchable spell and trap removal, so this is a card that you can consider when you're building your deck. We can always, of course, put the Bystials in here. We are a light strategy, and Bystial Rebellion is a level 8 light dragon, so we can do that. And it will, if we include Bystials in our own list, it will make our list more resistant to opponents' Bystials, which this deck does kind of struggle a little bit with. And then of course we could include the Horus engine, both as a discard outlet in order to turn on our Jumper and the Photon Emperors and stuff like that, as well as a rank 8 engine. But that's kind of like implying the Photons and Galaxies aren't really that good at making rank 8s, which they are. Like, they are quite competent at doing what they're supposed to be doing. But that's going to be about it for the deck profile. Thank you all so much for watching, if you still are. Thank you to my one member. Thank you, Ari. If you want to become a member, I'd recommend staying tuned to the end of the video, but you don't have to. Like, just watching the videos supports me more than enough, so I very much appreciate you all if you are still here. But that's going to be about it for the video. Again, thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to be seeing you all later. Bye-bye. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you wanted to talk to more Yu-Gi-Oh players like yourself, I would highly recommend checking out our Discord server. Link is going to be in the description, as well as the QR code on screen. We do talk somewhat frequently about Yu-Gi-Oh and the current meta, so I would really enjoy to see you there. As well as we do recently now have channel memberships available on our YouTube channel, where we have 3 different tiers. We have Super Supporter at $2 a month, where you get loyalty badges, emojis, guaranteed comment responses, a shout out at the end of every video, as well as access to the members only Discord channel, where you get early sneak peeks at future videos. There is the Giga Supporter at $5 a month, where you have early access to all new videos about a day or two before they go up, as well as all the previous offers. And for $15 a month, we do have our final tier, which is going to be Femboy Fanatic. You get a guaranteed customized video every single month, as well as 1 hour of my time. Could be for anything you'd like. You want a duel? Absolutely. You want me to help build a deck? Absolutely. You want to play some Helldivers? Sure. I'll do anything for an hour once a month. But supporting does help me out quite a lot, and it does help me produce all of these videos. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll be seeing y'all later. Bye-bye.